Okay.
Hello, we are excited that a new paper of ours just got accepted. It's a part of a series of articles, a research agenda on the relationship between politics and pandemics. The new paper is titled Geographical Analysis of Political Epidemiology, Spatial Quantification of Simultaneity Between Politics and Pandemics, and it is published with Political Geography. We ask two major questions that exemplify the simultaneous relations between politics and pandemics. The first one is, did politics influence the spread of COVID-19? Our answer, in short, is yes. And the second one is, did Trump lose the 2020 elections because of COVID? And our answer is not really.
COVID-19 pandemic during 2020 and the fact that presidential elections co-occurred that same year provide researchers with an exceptional opportunity to delve into the much debated relations between political behavior and the pandemic. By most counts, the world of politics and the world of epidemics are distinct realms. The analytical edge we have in understanding the links between them stems from the fact that both the pandemic and the political behavior associated with it can be broken down spatially to different geographical regions. It is the spatial aspect that determines both. For politics, spatial variables determine how votes are counted. And in epidemiology, spatial variables are critical for the spread of the disease and the host of implications and associated policies. Lockdowns and stay-at-home orders, for instance, may be national, but for the most part are determined regionally. Links between the pandemic and the political behavior could run both ways, though. Politics may influence the pandemic, and the pandemic may influence politics. In the politics on pandemic's effect, in times of COVID-19, mobility was a massive behavioral referendum and government actions. Mobility taps the key issue at the interface of citizen and state during the COVID-19 crisis, the extent to which people are allowed to physically move from between place to place. Abiding by remaining place orders diminishes the likelihood of spreading the disease. Conversely, when people leave their homes, the disease is more likely to spread. Likewise, for the pandemics on politics effect, the pandemics with its human, social, economic, and health ramifications may have an impact on the political world and specifically on political behavior in the form of voting. We capitalize on spatial quantifications to untangle simultaneity between politics and pandemics using the county as the basic geographic unit. We use big data from 250 million US citizens and tens of thousands of county days to study the politics on pandemics effect. For the opposite pandemics on politics effects in the form of COVID-19's effect on the 2020 elections, we use data for 150 million voters.
Our results show that partisanship influences epidemiology through mobility. In the article not presented here, we first established a link between partisanship and mobility. This figure shows the temporal shift between mobility and epidemiology. Each panel presents the results for a month between the outbreak and election day. On the horizontal axis are levels of increase in time spent at home, and on the vertical axis is growth rate with a 5-day lag. The size of each bubble is proportional to the population size of the county, and the color indicates the 2016 presidential elections results, ranging from blue, most Clinton-leaning counties, to red, Trump-leaning. The effect of residential mobility on growth rate gradually disappeared as time went by. In March, the top left panel, the effect was substantial, with a regression coefficient of 1.41, an explanatory power of approximately 30% of the variance between counties in growth rates. That coefficient shrinks tenfold in April and remains within the same order of magnitude or even shrinks further. From July onward, this coefficient is almost indistinguishable from zero.
The top three panels present coefficients, lines, and 95% confidence intervals in the shaded areas of a two-stage regression model predicting growth rate through three different types of mobility. Residential, as in the increase in time spent at home. Work, the reduction in people coming to work. And retail and recreation, the reduction in amount of people going to retail and recreation areas. In weekly interval, this is done in weekly intervals between March 7, 2020 and election day. The spatial quantification presented here provides clear evidence for the limited effect over time that partisanship had on the pandemic. at least when modeled with county as the basic geographic unit. As far as politics on pandemic impact is concerned, the initially strong partisan effect on the growth rate of the pandemic via mobility disappeared shortly after the outbreak.
The pandemic's on politics effect, little correlation prima facie between various epidemiological variables and the shift from 2016 to 2020 in election outcomes. Each county on the map is represented by a bubble whose size is proportional to its population. The pandemic hotspots on election day do not seem to be the counties where Trump suffered the most dramatic electoral losses. Results remain the same when we use a host of other epidemiological measures to gauge the severity of the pandemic in the county, as well as when we estimate several multivariate models.
In sum, our spatial quantification offers scant support for simultaneity in the relations between political behavior and COVID-19. Politics had a significant effect on the spread of COVID-19 at the outbreak. The politicized manners by which the pandemic was handled in the United States meant that above the pandemic's sociological and demographic variables that influenced its outburst, partisanship had an effect. Partisanship, however, does not have a direct effect on the pandemic, but only through mobility of particular types, specifically those that involve human interaction with close physical contact. The effect of partisanship on the pandemic, however, was limited in time and dependent on variables such as education. The effect of partisanship on growth rate, while initially substantial, subsided within a matter of weeks, never to regain its power. As for the opposite direction, the pandemic seems to have little effect on politics, at least as far as voting behavior in the presidential election is concerned, and when quantified as the vote margin in county-level election returns. President Donald Trump was an unusual president by many standards, at least by the fact that he failed to win re-election. As dramatic as COVID-19's impact on America was at the year 2020, it did little, our research suggests, to impact the outcomes of the presidential election that year. The pandemic did not lead to the defeat of an incumbent president. In a polarized era, policy concerns took the back seat and thus did little to drive voting behavior.
Thank you very much. We invite you to log in to Political Geography website and read the article in more detail, and we welcome your comments and suggestions. Thank you.